everyone. This is Commissioner Elena Sanders, and I'm here with the amazing
Danielle McFeron is my name.
Danielle McFeron here in Florida. We're at the FPP conference, and we just sharing moments and some similarities in regards to breast cancer awareness and our stories and how they can help people. And I was just sitting here on the couch, and she came over to talk to me, and I said, let's put your story on film, because I was encouraging her that her story can be a life-changing story for those who may be going through what she's going through, and also be an inspiration and inspiring, because I shared some things about my parents and how my parents died at a young age and inspired her to come talk to me. So I'm going to hush for a little bit, and I'm going to let Danielle kind of speak a little bit and tell her story. Tell us what's going on.
Okay, so back when the pandemic started, back in 2020, the kids were all made to stay home from school, and I had a doctor's appointment that went very south very quickly. I had been going to the doctor for a year, and they kept dismissing me because I was too young to have breast cancer, is what I was told.
What?
I had to literally lie to my doctor and tell them it was in my family history when it was not, so I could get a mammogram. After the mammogram, we found out that I had stage 4 breast cancer. When they did the biopsy, they did that, it came back. We had to do emergency surgery in the middle of a pandemic because it was life-threatening. It had microscopic cells started going through my lymph nodes. And so right when they moved it, if it would have made it through, I would have been dead in 2 weeks from that date.
So how did you know? Because you said you went to the doctor. Was there a feeling or something that
Yeah,
you felt
I
that
was
made you
feeling-
want to go to the doctor?
I had been feeling lumps for almost a year, and I was going to the doctor about every 3 months, going something's wrong, and they told me that there's no way, that I was too young to have breast cancer, and that it must have been just dense breast tissue. So going from that, I actually had a nurse practitioner that's a friend of mine, and she checked me out at her house, and she told me, she goes, you've got a problem. You need to go and lie to your doctor and say that you've got, it in your history. So I did that. That's when they ordered the mammogram and the biopsy and all of that. When they did the surgery and removed a couple of my lymph nodes is when they realized how severe it was, and that if we had not done emergency surgery at that time, that I would not be here 2 weeks later. So
The point that you had to lie to your doctor, even after a professional checked you out, is the part that's mind-boggling to me, is that a professional is not listening to the patient. You tell them what's going on, and if you were not persistent, again, like you said, I would not be here today to be able to be with me. You said you have how many kids?
4 children.
4 children. If she was not persistent in regards to her health, this is why it's important. And this is why we have to share our stories, Danielle. Because if I didn't share my story in regards to breast cancer, you would have not stopped me to come sit over here and talk to me about the situation. And I'm telling you that your story is a story that every person needs to hear, because there's some woman out there that might have felt something. Like, what was the symptoms that you felt?
Well, the thing about cancer, and I think how it gets so far gone so fast, is people assume cancer patients or people that have cancer look sick or feel sick, or, there's this idea of what cancer may look like to a person. Cancer is very deadly because it makes you feel nothing. I did not feel sick that whole year. I felt lumps, and the lumps started growing, and it started to get a little uncomfortable, but that was it. And I think that that's why it was able to go as far as it did. And I think that that's one of the reasons cancer is so scary.
And it's a good thing that you know your body, because a lot of people don't pay attention to symptoms, because our body tells us when something is not happening, and you paid attention and you felt that made you want to investigate, or what's going on with my body. And so I encourage you on this day, my birthday was June 1st, so my birthday's tomorrow, June 2nd. So I encourage you on this day, June 1st, 2023, to share your story to as many women and men, because men do go through this as well, about breast cancer, about survival, because now you told another story. I don't know if you want to share that part of the story of why you were going through the recovery process.
Yeah, well, so I was going through all my treatments. I started with chemo, I lost my hair within 3 weeks. I went from looking normal to looking very sick very quickly. my spouse decided in the middle of chemo that he wasn't strong enough to get through this. Cancer doesn't only kill people, it kills relationships, it kills business partnerships, it kills a lot of things. But there I was, single with 4 children and battling this very bad disease, and I feel like I turned into a warrior, because you have to, as any human that has children to care for, you have to fight the battle, whatever lands on your plate. You got to fight that so you can be productive with your children.
You said you felt like you turned into a warrior. You were a warrior, because not only did you have to worry about keep a stable mind to heal and recover, because the mental state is what determines your healing process.
The mental state is one of the things that I think could just be a whole conference all by itself. The mental state of a cancer patient is, unless you have been diagnosed, you cannot wrap your mind around that whole process. It is,
wow.
It is insane.
Wow. And so keeping a stable mind, a clear mind, and also being there for your kids at the same time to make them not worry, and to say that you have survived and you now have been, have you been in remission? Are you considered?
I am, yes. My 2nd year in remission now.
2nd year in remission, going through all of this. And so I applaud you, and I'm glad that you came over here to talk to me.
I'm so glad
God
I got to meet
has
you.
plans for everyone, and it was meant. And I wasn't going to even share that about my parents yesterday. It was supposed to be about financial literacy. and I shared it, so it was probably meant. It was definitely meant for that. And I encourage you to share this story. I encourage you to talk about it. I encourage you to contact the American Cancer Society and Susan D. Coleman and all of them, Goldman, yeah, and all of them, to be able to share your story, be a representative for them, because there's a lot of women who are scared about this process. I'm scared, because I don't know, because I have a family history, that sometimes I worry even when I go to the doctor, like, okay, am I going to get that call today, or I'm going to get a call back from the doctor said you had an abnormal mammogram.
Right.
And so that is a scary situation.
Yeah, and the other thing that I've been able to do is, I was a very big person in my community, and when I got sick, I had all these women start coming to me, oh, I feel this, oh, I don't feel good, maybe it's this. And I started making sure every one of the people that ever talked to me went and got checked. 3 of my friends, that saved their lives because they caught it at such an early stage, because I told them about the battle with the doctor. Do not listen to them about you're too young to have cancer.
Wait. So do you see what you've done by sharing your story? And we just sat here and you said, I don't know where to start. You started already. You shared your story, and it helped save a life. So this is what you're destined to do, is to speak on it. Your testimony is going to make room for you. So you're going to have to open your mouth, Danielle. You're going to have to open your mouth and let the world know what happened. And I know sometimes it's kind of hard, because you don't want people to have that sympathy, like, oh.
Right.
Nobody wants to be that sympathy all the time, you know. It's great to be sympathetic and empathetic, but sometimes you just want to be normal.
Right, yes.
And so I get it. But you need to share this story with the world, because there is some woman that probably going to watch this once I post it, to be able to be, it's going to be a life changing for them. And so we encourage you, both of us, because I have to go every year. I just went a couple of months ago. I have to go every year to get my mammogram and checked. I've been getting checked since I was 18 years old. As I mentioned, I lost my parents a year and a half apart at a very young age, both to cancer, different types of forms of cancer. And I think my father's probably formed more of missing my mom, but he probably did have it because he didn't go to the doctor.
Right.
And the type of cancer he had, which is multiple myeloma, it shut down his kidneys to where he had to go to dialysis. And at that moment, he just gave up. He did not want to live a life of going to dialysis every week, or if he couldn't go anywhere, he had to make sure he had a dialysis center. So he gave up. He gave up on life, and he's like, I'm going to be with mom. I'm going to be with my wife. So I get it from that point when you have that soulmate that is really hard, you know, to try to fight even more. So
exactly.
I applaud everything that you do. I applaud you being here and doing what you have to do with financial literacy. You can also encourage women who have gone through breast cancer to get on that other side and start their careers over, and start their life over, because that's what you've done.
It's no longer a death sentence just because somebody tells you that you have cancer. What I will give credit to is the medical field and the research teams. The chemo that I was on had only been on the market for 3 months before they started me on it.
Oh, wow.
So, and it was, I will say the chemo was a lot smoother than I had thought it was going to be, but the radiation is the one that got me.
Yeah, the radiation, yeah. So I applaud you. Is there any encouraging words that you would like to leave for women, especially Breast Cancer Month? It will be here, but breast cancer awareness should be every year.
Every day.
Even though we celebrate it during October, but health is a constant. So is there any words you'd like to leave for women out there to encourage them and to make sure they get their exams and stay aware of their bodies?
Yeah, absolutely. I think number one is, as women, we are fighters. We are born fighters. When you start to feel weak, don't listen to that weakness. Don't let the weakness take you over. You've got to fight back to get on the other side. If you go into, after your diagnosis, if you go into chemo and you are, oh, woe is me, and I'm sick, and I'm this, and I'm that, it gives you every reason to not live anymore. You've got to fight it. You've got to fight the mental, you've got to fight the physical, you've got to fight it. Make sure that your physicians are aware about every one of your physical concerns. Don't let them tell you what's going on with you. You tell them what's going on with you. And honestly, you know, the women in 2023, that's where we're at. You know, I'm just amazed to be in the presence of, first of all, one of the strongest women I've ever met in my life. That's number one. I'm just excited to be here and just to learn. Never stop learning. Never stop learning. Every day you can learn something. So that's what I would say.
And if they want to contact you after hearing this message, either come present at a convention, a seminar in regards to this, how can they reach you? Social media page?
Yeah, I don't know.
Okay, well, you reach out to me and I'll make sure I get her information so I can pass it on.
Actually, you can get in touch with me at D as in Danielle McFeron, MCF as in Frank, ERON 1982 at gmail.com.
Like Bobby McFerrin, right? Those millennials don't know what I'm talking about. But anyway, but thank you so much. I appreciate
Thank you for the opportunity.
Yes, and this is the first of many conversations she's going to have to be able to share with the world and to be inspired multiple thousands, millions of women across the world. So thank you for sharing your story with us.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you.